The void of space was calm. Stars glittered in silence, far away from war, far away from politics. In this calm, a single giant vessel moved slowly across the black dot. It was not a warship. It was not armed. It was a human relief ship, painted white with huge glowing red crosses stretched across its hull. Inside, doctors worked in shining corridors. Children laughed in medical wards. Civilians from colonies rested in safety. The ship carried food, medicine, and hope. Everyone believed the Red Cross meant protection. It was the oldest law among the stars. Never fire on a relief vessel. But laws meant nothing to predators. From the darkness, shapes appeared. Alien warships, sleek and sharp, slid out of the void. Their engines glowed red, their weapons already charged. At first, the crew of the human ship thought it was a mistake. They opened channels. "This is a relief vessel," the captain said calmly. "We are unarmed." "Repeat, we are unarmed." The aliens did not reply. The first plasma bolt struck the hull. Alarm screamed. The ship shuddered as steel ripped apart. Civilians fell to the floor as gravity flickered. Children screamed. Nurses tried to shield them as sparks rained down. "Shields failing," cried an officer. "Multiple breaches on deck 6. The captain's face went pale. "We carry no soldiers, no weapons." "Why are they doing this?" No answer came. The aliens kept firing. Corridors filled with smoke. Doors sealed shut as fire spread. Medics carried the wounded, their white uniforms stained with blood. Whole sections of the ship went dark as power lines failed. On the bridge, Captain Lyra Hales struggled to stay calm. She pressed the emergency beacon. Across the stars, her voice echoed, "To any human station to Earth. To anyone who can hear this is the relief ship sanctuary. We are under attack. We are unarmed. We cannot escape." Her hand shook as she sent the message again and again. A young officer turned to her, his voice breaking. "Captain, do you think Earth will hear us?" Lyra looked at him with steady eyes, though her heart was breaking. "Earth always hears." Another blast tore through the engines. Half the ship spun out of control. Hundreds of lives were lost in an instant, and still the aliens fired, far away. In the Galactic Council amphitheater, the hologram arrived. The delegates saw the burning ship, the glowing red crosses, the unarmed vessel breaking apart under alien fire. Shocked voices filled the chamber. "This is madness," cried the Ilori envoy, feathers rising in outrage. "Who would dare such a crime?" The core delegate, horned and proud, only sneered. "It is only humans. They make too much noise about mercy. Let them learn what happens when they flaunt weakness." The chamber erupted with shouts. Some demanded punishment. Others whispered in fear. A few smirked in silence at the edge of the hall. The Velen ambassador whispered words that made even the proud grow quiet. "You fools. Do you not see? The humans will not forgive this. They will remember. And when they rise, none of us will be safe." Back on the dying relief ship, Captain Hale struggled to her feet. The bridge was filled with fire and smoke. Half her crew was gone. Captain engines are lost. An officer coughed. "We won't hold much longer." Lyra pressed one last command into the console, sending the emergency signal directly toward Earth. Her face was burned, her uniform torn, but her eyes still burned with fury. "To Earth," she whispered into the recorder. "Remember us?" The sanctuary groaned one last time before another blast ripped through its reactor. The ship shattered into pieces, fire blooming silently in the dark. Far away, deep beneath Earth's oceans, the distress signal reached the command spire. The dark war room lit up as the hologram of the burning relief ship spun above the table. Officers gasped in silence. The image of civilians screaming, of doctors dying, the red crosses torn apart by plasma fire was burned into their eyes. At the center of the room stood Admiral Mara Said. She said nothing. She only stared at the burning hologram, her jaw tight, her fists clenched. Behind her a young officer whispered, "Admiral, what are your orders?" The room waited, every breath held. Mara turned at last. Her voice was soft, but it cut like steel. "Wake the fleet across Earth." The order spread like fire. Hidden hangars rumbled open. Massive warships rose from oceans, deserts, and mountains, engines glowing, hulls black with fury. Soldiers marched in silence across vast decks. Civilians poured into the streets, watching the skies as Earth's armada lit the night. Children stopped playing, their eyes wide with awe. Elders whispered the old words, "Never again." The first engines roared into the void. Earth's banners flared across the sky. Humanity's fleet was awake, and in the shadows of the alien empire that had dared to strike, fear began to spread because the galaxy knew the truth. When Earth rises, nothing stands in its way. Shock in the council. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so loud, built high above the clouds of the neutral world concordance. The chamber was a vast circle of silver stone and glowing crystal. From here, empires argued, treaties were signed, and wars were stopped. It was supposed to be a place of peace, but tonight, peace was gone. At the center of the chamber, a huge hologram flickered. It showed the burning wreck of the human relief ship Sanctuary. Its white hull split apart, its glowing red crosses shattered by alien plasma fire. The recording captured screams, explosions, and the captain's final words, "To Earth." "Remember us?" The sound filled the chamber. No one could ignore it. The Ilari envoy, a tall being with silver feathers, slammed her wings against the table. "This is a crime against every law we hold sacred." A relief ship was destroyed. Children were aboard. Shouts rose. Dozens of delegates pounded their fists, claws, and tendrils in outrage, but others only smirked. The Corps representative, horned and proud, leaned back in his seat. His deep voice rumbled with disdain. "And what of it? The humans flaunt their weaknesses. They think their mercy protects them. This proves it does not." Gasps filled the chamber. The Ilari envoy turned on him in fury. "Weakness? You call children weakness? You call healers weakness?" The Corps' sharp teeth gleamed in a cruel smile. "They bleed, as all prey does." The insectoid Zell diplomat clicked his mandibles. It was only a matter of time. Humans spread too fast. They act as if they belong among us. Perhaps this will remind them of their place. The chamber erupted against some voices shouting in agreement, others screaming in outrage. At last a scaled hand rose. The Velen ambassador, an elder with golden eyes, stood slowly. His voice was calm, but it cut through the noise like a blade. "You fools," the chamber stilled. "You think humanity is prey? You think they are weak because they speak of mercy?" His golden eyes scanned the room. "You do not understand. When humans rise, they rise as one. And when they rise in anger, they do not stop." Uneasy silence fell. For a moment, even the Corps had no reply. Then the chamber darkened. A new hologram flickered to life, not from the Council, not from the Combine, from Earth. The projection showed only words, written in burning red light. "To the Galactic Council, humanity has heard your silence. You let our mercy ship burn. Know this, Earth is awake." The words pulsed across the chamber. Some delegates trembled. Others whispered in fear. The Thurin speaker, an ancient being of light who presided over the council, raised his glowing arms. "Order. We must not give in to panic. We must speak of facts, not threats." "Who has proof of this crime?" The hologram shifted again, showing ship signatures and weapon traces. The image was undeniable. The attackers belonged to the Drade Combine. All eyes turned to the Drade delegate. His armored form stood tall, his voice cold. "These accusations are false. The Combine does not fire on mercy ships." The Ilarion voice feathers bristled. "The evidence is clear. Your warships struck first." The Drade's eyes narrowed. "And if we did, will you bleed for the humans? Will you fight Earth's war for them?" The chamber erupted once more, voices crashing like thunder. Some shouted for punishment, others begged for restraint. But in the shadows of the hall, the Velen ambassador whispered again, "It will not matter. Earth will not ask for help. Earth will act, far away, on Earth itself." The council's noise meant nothing. Deep beneath the oceans, the command spire pulsed with activity. Alarms echoed. Holograms flickered, showing the burning relief ship the death toll. The ship's signatures of the Combine. Admiral Mara Saeed stood before it all. Her face was stone, her voice calm. "Status?" she asked. An aide stepped forward. 3,000 warships operational. Thousands more in reserve. Super dreadnoughts powering reactors now. Civilian response. "Unified Admiral?" "The colonies are chanting in the streets for the fallen. They are ready." Mara's eyes narrowed. She turned to the map of stars projected before her. The Combine's borders glowed red. "They struck our mercy," she said softly. "We will strike their pride." Above Earth, the skies blazed with fire. Giant hangar doors opened in the oceans. Leviathan-class warships rose from the waves, their reactors glowing like blue suns. From deserts, squadrons of destroyers launched into the night, streaking fire across the horizon. In orbit, fleets of frigates and cruisers aligned, their weapons charging. Civilians filled the streets, looking up as the stars disappeared behind steel. Children cheered. Soldiers marched. Old veterans whispered, "Never again." The galaxy would remember this night as the moment Earth's armada awoke, back in the council chamber. Chaos still reigned. Some begged for calm. Others demanded war, but all fell silent as one final report arrived. Earth's fleet has left orbit. The Velen ambassador closed his golden eyes. It has begun. The fleet awakens. The night skies above Earth burned brighter than ever before. Across oceans, deserts, mountains, and orbit, hidden hangars opened doors that had not moved in decades. Inside them, machines older than most nations roared to life. Humanity's guardians, long kept in silence, were finally awakening. In the Pacific Ocean, the waves trembled. Slowly, the surface cracked open, and a massive platform rose, water pouring down its sides like waterfalls. From beneath, a Leviathan-class battleship emerged. Its black steel armor gleamed. Its glowing blue reactors lit the sea like a sunrise. Civilians on the shore stared in awe. Some cheered, some cried, and some whispered old prayers. "Look," one child gasped, pointing upward. "The giants are real." Far across the Sahara Desert, the ground shook. Entire dunes shifted aside as vast silos opened. From the deep caverns below, fleets of destroyers and cruisers launched one by one. Dust storms spread for miles, hiding the number of ships as hundreds of engines roared into the sky. On the Asian steppes, colossal doors split apart, revealing squadrons of carrier ships, each the size of cities. Fighters streamed from their decks like flocks of burning comets, cutting white trails into the night and in Earth's orbit. Docks the size of moons opened to release frigates, corvettes, and gunships every design built for one purpose: vengeance, in the streets of every human city. People looked up and saw the skies filled with fire trails. Parents held children close. Elders raised their fists to the heavens. One chant began softly, then louder, then thundered across the planet. For the fallen, for the healers, for Earth. Inside the command spire, Admiral Mara Saeed stood in silence, watching the live feeds projected across the war room. Thousands of ships rose at once, their engines glowing like a storm of suns. An aide rushed forward. "Admiral, current count, 3,000 warships deployed. Reserve still launching. Civilian response is total unified across all colonies." Mara's eyes narrowed. "And the dreadnought?" The aide hesitated, then smiled grimly. "It's awake." Deep beneath Antarctica, the ice cracked apart. Entire mountains split open, revealing a cavern bathed in light. From its heart rose the Indomitable. It was no ordinary ship. It was a fortress of steel, larger than cities. its reactor pulsing like the heart of a star. Ancient weapons lined its hull, glowing faintly as power surged through them once more. As it lifted free Inside the Drade Combine's throne hall, warlords shouted in rage as the reports poured in. Vila's prime is lost. Our patrol fleet's annihilated. Thousands dead in minutes. One warlord slammed his claws against the table. We must rally the council. We must unite the galaxy against them. Another shook his head in despair. The council is already breaking. No one will help us now, for the first time in generations. The warlords looked at each other and saw fear. Back aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Mara turned to her officers. Status? Enemy resistance destroyed. The colony's fleet wiped out. Survivors broadcast desperate calls, but no reinforcements are coming. Mara nodded slowly. Her gaze turned back to the stars. Good, she said softly. Let them tell the story. Let them carry it to every corner of the galaxy. Let them whisper what happens when mercy is betrayed. Her voice dropped. Steel in every word. This was only the beginning. And across the galaxy, the whispers spread like fire. The humans have struck back. The humans are awake. The humans are vengeance. The shattered alliance. The Galactic Council chamber was chaos. Banners of 100. Empires hung above the silver amphitheater. But tonight they meant nothing. Delegates shouted, wings spread wide, horns slammed against tables, claws scratched across stone. The hologram at the center glowed with terrible clarity, Vila's prime's orbit burning, human warships shining through the fire. The image of Earth's armada had stunned the galaxy. Now it divided it. The Alari envoy's feathers trembled as she cried out, Do you not see? Humanity has risen. They have destroyed one of the Combine's proudest worlds and ours. They do not bluff. They do not hesitate. The insectoid Zell diplomat clacked his mandibles, his tone sharp. Then what do you propose? That we all bow to them? That we kneel to Earth's fleet? Shouts filled the air. The Corps representative pounded his horned fist against the table, his voice a roar. They are only one world. One. If the Council unites, we can crush them like insects. But the Velen ambassador rose slowly, his golden eyes sweeping across the chamber. His voice was low, yet it carried farther than the Corps' roar. You speak of unity, but already the Council fractures. Look around you. Some demand war. Some demand surrender. And some, his gaze hardened, have already decided to stay silent. No one will bleed for the Combine. Humanity made certain of that. The chamber went silent for a heartbeat. Every delegate knew the truth. At the far edge, the Thurin speaker raised its glowing arms. Its voice was deep, steady, ancient. Order. This chamber will have order. The voices dimmed. The speaker's light pulsed slowly. We must face reality. The Combine is losing fleets. The humans are stronger than we believed. We must decide, do we stand with the Combine, or do we stand aside? The Drade delegate rose, his armored body gleaming in fury. His voice thundered across the chamber. Cowards! Traitors! Will you abandon us? The humans are nothing. Their fleets are tricks. Their victories illusions. Stand with us, and together we will drown Earth in fire. But even as he shouted, reports arrived. Holograms flickered around him, images of more Combine fleets destroyed. Human raids spreading across border systems. The silence that followed was heavier than his rage. Outside the chamber, the streets of Concordance buzzed with fear. Alien civilians gathered around giant screens showing the battle recordings. On core colonies, soldiers whispered nervously. The humans destroyed Vila's prime in hours. On Zell stations, traitors muttered. They strike like lightning. No one can stop them. On Alari worlds, children ask their parents, are the humans coming here? Everywhere, the same phrase spread. The humans are awake. Back in the Drade Combine's throne hall, warlords screamed at one another. Reports piled high, lost fleets, burning colonies, destroyed shipyards. One slammed his claws onto the table, denting steel. The Council will stand with us. They must. Another snarled. Open your eyes. The council is finished. They will not fight the humans for us. They will let us burn. Fear settled over them like a shadow. For the first time in centuries, the mighty Combine looked at each other and saw doubt. Meanwhile, aboard the indomitable Admiral Mara Saeed studied the stars from her command deck. Holograms of systems glowed across the table, some already marked in red. Others still waiting, and Aide approached, his voice uneasy. "Admiral, the council is in uproar. Some beg us to stop. Others prepare to resist. The Combine still refuses to yield." Mara's eyes were calm, cold. "Let them argue. While they speak, we move." The officer swallowed hard. "And if the council unites against us?" Mara's gaze never left the holograms. "They won't. Fear divides faster than it unites." Reports came in. Survivors of Vila's Prime carried humanity's warning across the stars. Refugees whispered of ships that moved like storms, of weapons that burned through fleets in seconds. Every empire watched. Every leader hesitated. The galaxy was splintering. Some worlds swore they would never face Earth in battle. Others quietly sent messages of peace. A few, desperate and proud, began plotting in the shadows. But none could deny the truth. The old balance of power was gone. In the council chamber, the speaker's voice returned. Slow and heavy, without unity, there is no alliance. Without trust, there is no council. Perhaps humanity has not just punished the Combine. Perhaps they have shattered us all. The words echoed through the hall like a curse. A final transmission arrived. Not from Earth, not from the Combine, from spies hidden deep within alien space. The Combine is preparing a trap. Thousands of ships gathering. An ambush planned within a nebula. The council froze as the message spread. Some gasped. Some smirked. Some whispered, "Perhaps this time the humans will fall." But in the shadows of the chamber, the Velen ambassador closed his golden eyes. They will not fall. They will turn even the trap into a weapon. And when they do, the galaxy will learn fear all over again. The nebula trap. The Kareth Nebula stretched across the void like a storm of colors. Purple gas swirled in thick clouds. Golden lightning flashed through the mist, hiding entire fleets within its glow. For centuries, smugglers and pirates had used it to disappear. Now, the Drade Combine planned to use it for something greater. They planned to kill humanity's armada here, inside a fortress at the nebula's edge. Drade commanders gathered around a glowing tactical table. Red icons showed the human fleet moving steadily toward the nebula. Thousands of ships, one after another. Marching across the stars, the Overlord's general snarled, his claws scraping the steel table. They are arrogant. They believe themselves unstoppable. Here, in this storm, we will break them. Another commander hissed in agreement. Our fleets already wait inside. We have them surrounded. No scanners will save them. No mercy will escape them. They laughed together. Their voices sharp and cruel. Far beyond the nebula aboard the indomitable, Admiral Mara Saeed stood with her officers. The glowing image of the nebula filled the bridge. "Scanners useless inside, Admiral," one officer warned. "It is the perfect ambush. We should avoid it." Mara's eyes narrowed. Her voice was calm. "Of course it is an ambush. That is why we will go in." The officer froze. But Mara cut him off, her tone like iron. "They believe they are hunters. Let us remind them that they are only prey." She turned to her crew. "Signal the fleet. Enter the storm." Engines roared. Humanity's armada advanced into the nebula, their blue thrusters glowing faintly through the golden mist. The Indomitable led the way, its massive hull cutting through the clouds like a mountain. Inside the nebula, shadows shifted. Shapes moved. Weapons charged then. Fire. A barrage of plasma bolts ripped out of the mist, slamming into the first line of human cruisers. Alarms blared. Explosions rocked the fleet. "Enemy contact," shouted an officer. Multiple fleets, all sides. From the clouds, Drade warships poured in, thousands of them, weapons blazing. Fighters swarmed like locusts. Capital ships fired volley after volley. The human fleet seemed pinned, surrounded. On the Drade flagship, commanders roared in triumph. Yes, at last. The humans will die here. But Admiral Mara was calm. She looked at her officers and spoke 2 words. Execute eclipse suddenly. The nebula shifted from deep within the golden clouds. Entire human squadrons decloaked. Huge warships shimmered into view, their hulls glowing as power surged through them. They had been waiting all along, hidden, silent, invisible. The Drade commanders froze. No, impossible. But it was already too late. The Indomitable broadcast across the battlefield. Admiral Mara's voice was cold and sharp. You thought this was your trap? No, this was ours. Welcome to your grave. The human fleet opened fire. Railguns thundered, slamming through enemy hulls. Plasma beams carved lines of fire through the clouds. Missiles streaked in swarms, lighting the nebula with explosions. Fighters darted in perfect formation, shredding Drade squadrons like paper. The trap had flipped. Drade warships tried to retreat, but human destroyers cut them off. Cruisers herded them into kill zones where dreadnoughts unleashed devastating broadsides. The nebula itself glowed red with fire as thousands of ships burned. On the Drade command deck, panic erupted. Retreat. Retreat. They're everywhere. Our flanks are gone. The Overlord's generals screamed in rage. Fight! Hold the line! They cannot be infinite. But one officer whispered, trembling. Admiral Saeed knew. She knew we would come here. She was waiting. In the council chamber, delegates watched the live feed in shock. The nebula glowed like a burning storm. Human ships cutting through Drade fleets with brutal precision. The Alari envoy whispered, they turned the trap. Into their weapon, the Corps representative sat frozen, pride drained from his face. For once, he had no words. The Velen ambassador closed his eyes and said, this is why we feared them. They do not fall into snares. They break them. Hours passed. By the time the fighting ended, the nebula was filled with wreckage. Drade fleets that had once seemed invincible drifted in ruins, burning silently. A handful of survivors fled into the storm. Humanity did not chase. On the Indomitable, Admiral Mara gave her final order. Transmit one message. Her voice carried across the battlefield, across the galaxy. This was your trap. Now it is your tomb. Humanity does not run. Humanity does not hide. Strike at us, and you will be broken. In the council chamber, her words echoed like thunder. Delegates trembled. Some whispered of surrender. Others plotted in silence. But no one denied the truth. In the Drade throne hall, warlords screamed at each other. Fleets gone. Armies broken. Traps shattered. The Overlord's claws dug into his throne. Enough, he growled. If they want war, then they will face me. And across the galaxy, whispers spread once more. The humans are not prey. They are the storm. The Kareth Nebula was silent now, where once thousands of Drade warships had hidden. Only wreckage drifted. Burned hulks spun through the mist, sparks flickering in the dark. The trap that was meant to destroy humanity had become a graveyard for the Combine. And through the silence, Earth's fleet emerged. The Indomitable led the way, its massive reactor glowing like a star. Behind it, thousands of human ships sailed in perfect formation, engines blazing blue against the void. The galaxy was watching. Every probe, every spy, every sensor picked up the same sight. Humanity had turned defeat into victory. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Marisa stood tall. Her officers worked in silence, eyes wide with awe at the scale of what they had just done. Admiral One finally said, his voice hushed, the Drade fleets are broken. The nebula is ours. What are your orders? Mara's gaze was steady. Open a channel. To everyone, across the galaxy, screens flickered. Holograms lit up in council chambers, barracks and marketplaces. From core colonies to Alari skies, from Zell stations to Velen strongholds. Every world saw the same image. Admiral Mara, standing at the center of her bridge. Behind her, the window showed the burning nebula. Her voice was calm, cold, unstoppable, to the galaxy. You have seen what happens when humanity is attacked. You have seen the fire we bring when mercy is betrayed. We are not conquerors. We are not tyrants. But if you strike at our healers, our children, our unarmed, you will know vengeance. Her eyes burned into the recording, her voice sharp as steel. Harm another human relief ship, and your fleets will shatter. Harm another innocent, and your worlds will burn. This is not a threat. This is a promise. We are humanity. We forgive once, never twice. The transmission ended. The silence that followed was heavier than war in the Galactic Council chamber. Delegates sat frozen. The Alari envoy's feathers shook as she whispered. She speaks as if Earth commands the stars themselves. The core representative's voice cracked with anger, but fear trembled beneath it. No, we cannot bow to them. They are one world, nothing more. The Velen ambassador leaned forward, golden eyes unblinking. And yet that one world just destroyed fleets your empires could not match. You may call them one world, but I call them a storm. And storms do not ask permission. The chamber fell silent again across alien streets. Civilians whispered. On core colonies, soldiers muttered nervously, if they come here, we are finished. On Zell stations, merchants argued, do not cross them. Do not provoke them. On Ilari worlds, children repeated Admiral Mara's words with wide eyes. Forgive once, never twice. The whispers spread faster than any ship. Fear was a shadow no empire could escape. In the throne hall of the Drade Combine, warlords raged. One slammed his claws into the steel table. Our fleets are broken. Our allies turn away. And still, the humans come. Another hissed in fury. We must rally everything. Every ship. Every soldier. But one general trembled, his voice low. It will not matter. They will find us. They will come for him. The warlords turned toward the high throne. The Drade overlord Zerthael rose slowly. His armor gleamed, his eyes burned. His claws tightened on the rail as he growled, then let them come. Let them march upon my fortress. They will break upon my walls. But deep in his voice was something the others had never heard before. Fear. Back on the Indomitable, Admiral Mara studied the galaxy map. Systems glowed red where battles had been won. Whole sectors shook under humanity's advance. An aide spoke softly. Admiral, reports confirm it. We've traced the order. The one who gave the command to fire on the relief ship? It was the Drade Overlord himself. Mara's jaw tightened. Her eyes narrowed. Then our course is clear, she said. She turned to her officers, her voice sharp. Plot a jump. To the Overlord's fortress. On human worlds, civilians heard the news. Crowds filled the streets, chanting, their voices thunderous. For the fallen, for the healers. For Earth. The sound rose across every colony, across every city, until the galaxy itself seemed to shake with it, in the council chamber. The speaker of the Theron spoke quietly, almost to itself. So, it ends here. The storm will strike the heart. The Velen ambassador whispered back. No, the storm does not end. It only reminds us what fear feels like, and above Earth, above colonies, above the ruins of battlefields, humanity's armada moved once more. Engines burned. Cannons charged. Dreadnoughts aligned. They were no longer chasing fleets. They were marching toward judgment. Judgment of Earth's armada. Humanity's warning. The dying star burned red, casting long shadows across the void. Around it, a fortress the size of a moon hung like a scar. Spikes of steel jutted outward, bristling with weapons. Defense platforms circled in rings, hundreds of cannons glowing. Entire Drade fleets surrounded the stronghold, their banners raised, their commanders chanting the Overlord's name. At the center of it all, upon a black throne of iron, sat Overlord Zarthel, His eyes gleamed with fury. His claws dug into the armrests as he snarled. Let the humans come. Let them see true power. This will be their end. But beneath his rage, a flicker of fear remained. Then the void shifted. Space itself bent, rippling with blue light. Alarms blared across the Drade fleet as thousands of human signatures appeared. Earth's Armada had arrived. The Indomitable emerged first. Engines blazing like suns, its colossal hull gleaming with scars of past battles. Behind it, line after line of human warships filled the void destroyers. Cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts until the stars themselves were drowned in steel. The galaxy watched through hidden probes and trembling sensors. This was no skirmish. This was judgment. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Mara Saeed stood tall. Her voice was calm, her eyes unyielding. Formation locked, reported an officer. Enemy strength. Massive. Thousands of ships. Fortress fully armed. Mara's gaze stayed on the fortress ahead. Her voice was soft, but it carried like thunder. Then we will break it. She raised her hand. All ships advance. The void exploded into war. Dr. Aid fleets surged forward. Plasma cannons roaring, missiles streaking like storms. Defense platforms unleashed torrents of fire, lighting the sky in red. But humanity's armada answered in thunder. Railguns boomed, slamming projectiles through enemy cruisers. Plasma beams from destroyers carved through formations like knives through flesh. Fighters swarmed in precise waves, weaving between alien ships and tearing them apart. From the Indomitable, a single broadside unleashed devastation. Fortress platforms shattered in bursts of fire. Entire squadrons vaporized in seconds. Inside the fortress, alarms screamed, shields failing. Outer fleets destroyed. They do not break. The Overlord's generals roared in panic. One shouted, "We must retreat." Humanity cannot be stopped. Zarthal slammed his claws down, silencing them. No retreat. This is our empire's heart. We hold here, or we die. But his voice wavered. Back in the battle, humanity pressed forward. Drade warships tried to flank, but human carriers released wings of bombers that cut them apart. Defense platforms poured fire, but dreadnoughts absorbed the blows and answered with annihilation. One by one, the fortress's rings of steel crumbled. The sky itself glowed red with fire, on alien worlds across the galaxy. Civilians huddled around screens. On core colonies, soldiers who had once mocked humanity now trembled. This is not war. This is punishment. On Ilari skies, children whispered Admiral Mara's words, "We forgive once, never twice." On Zell stations, traders muttered, "If the Combine falls, who can stand next?" The galaxy had never seen anything like this. Finally, the fortress itself was exposed. Its shields cracked. Its guns dimmed. Its walls groaned under the relentless storm. On the Indomitable, Admiral Mara gave her final order. All ships, fire. The void lit brighter than a star. Every cannon, every missile, every railgun turned on the fortress. Blinding beams tore through its heart. Explosions cascaded across its surface, ripping through towers, reactors, and weapon bays. Inside, corridors collapsed. Fires spread. The Overlord's throne chamber shook as walls split apart. Zarthel roared, claws reaching to the sky. "I will not fall to them. I am eternal." The ceiling above him cracked. Fire poured in, and the Overlord's scream was lost in the explosion that consumed his fortress. When the light faded, nothing remained but drifting ruins. The Combine's pride, its heart, its leader all gone. Silence filled the battlefield. Humanity's fleet hovered victorious, engines glowing against the wreckage. The Indomitable stood at the center, unbroken, unstoppable, on its bridge. Admiral Mara faced the galaxy. Transmit, across every world, every station, every empire. Her face appeared once more. Behind her, the ruins of the fortress burned in silence. Her voice was sharp, steady, merciless. To the galaxy. The Combine is no more. The one who ordered the strike on our relief ship has paid with his empire. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to rule. But if you strike at our mercy, at our healers, at our children, we will answer. Not with words, not with treaties. With fleets, her eyes blazed as she spoke the final words. Remember this day? Remember who we are. We are humanity. We forgive once. Never twice. The transmission ended. On alien worlds, silence reigned. Leaders stayed quiet. Soldiers bowed their heads. Civilians whispered the same words across countless tongues. The humans are awake. The humans are the storm. And across the stars, the galaxy trembled. For a new balance of power had risen, one that could not be ignored, one that would never be forgotten.